And
hello, Weekend Warriors. Welcome to another episode of TokuCHATsu with El Chizo Reviews and Proton Reviews and Fan Edits. Tonight, we will be talking about Kamen Rider Build.
yes, we will, because Kamen Rider X8 has recently ended, and so, as always, every year they bring up another Kamen Rider. So we're going to discuss that tonight.
Would you like to explain what Kamen Rider Build is? Well, I get set up here.
All right. Well, essentially, Kamen Rider Build is a story centered around a physicist who, let me go back to the origin, the prologue, essentially. Japan has been split into 3 sectors by a mysterious wall that sprang up out of nowhere and extended into the sky that they appropriately call Skywall. And there are 2 nations constantly warring with each other, and a third nation. These sectors have been split off into different countries. The third nation is supposedly peaceful, but they have a huge R&D department.
Yeah.
So our main character is a physicist trying to get into a mid-level research position at that R&D department.
Yes.
Turns out that he actually passes the IQ test with flying colors. Well, not the IQ test, the requirements test. He passes it with a full score, which means he's overqualified for a mid-level research position. Turns out that there are experiments going on in an area that he's not quite sure of that are turning humans into monsters called Smash. And Build has figured out a system to essentially take the essence of the monsters from these human subjects, i.e. curing them, and using them as powers in his very Kamen Rider double-like way of doing things.
Count your sins.
Now, if I can say something real quick here. X8 was a doctor. Skipping Ghost because I didn't care for it. He was a paranormal investigator, no big deal. But then you had Shinosuke from Drive, who was a police officer, and now we have Build, who's a physicist. We're getting very clearly defined jobs from writers now.
Yes.
Which I like. I think it's the Superman effect, the Clark Kent effect. Not to mention, it, especially with having both a doctor and a physicist as superheroes, keeping in mind that Kamen Rider in Japan is keyed towards middle school, early high school students. It's a great way to inspire them to pursue these amazing jobs.
Yes.
As far as Build goes, I think it might end up being just a little too, like, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. This was the first episode. I just hope it's not too corny with the jokes.
Yeah, it was very, very silly. This episode was, but then again, the first episode of X8 was very silly as well.
Very true.
The first 4 episodes, actually.
You know, that's actually very true.
So I expect I'll give it leeway for the first 4 episodes.
Fair enough. It's like there's a way to do funny right, as we've seen with like Build and O's.
Right.
And there's a way to do funny wrong. Forze.
Yeah. Wait, Forze, I liked Forze. Forze, but in a goofy way, I liked Forze.
It was a little too heavy on the. Excuse me. It was a little too heavy on the comedy for me.
Okay. I can respect that. Well, what else can we talk about Build?
Well, let's talk a little bit about what gadgets we've seen him use so far.
Oh yeah, we've seen him use the tank and rabbit. What are those things called? Paint
The
cans.
full bottles.
Yeah, we saw him use tank and rabbit full bottle. We saw him use diamond and gorilla, right?
But those are just his bottles. I'm talking about his gadgets overall.
Oh yeah, his bike, which is also an iPhone.
The build machiner or the build phone.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't like it when they try to make a transforming toy out of a touchscreen device, mostly because it doesn't translate well. You get that, especially when you make the toy out of it, because there has to be buttons in there.
It also brings back bad memories of Dragon Ball Evolution, because Bulma's phone turned into a ATV. That's a movie I want to forget.
I thought that was a capsule.
It might have been a capsule, but still, that's what it reminds me of.
And well, we do know that Bill built his own driver.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how fond I'm going to be of the hand cranking mechanism yet. I don't know. I'm iffy about it.
Yeah. I'm hoping I get really invested in this season, but so far I'm like meh with it.
Granted, first episode blues will affect us all.
Yeah.
So there's not really much you can do about it.
Okay. Okay. I'll be right back.
Okay, dope. So I will give Build the benefit of the doubt, seeing as how it's brand new. I do hope that they do something to really hook me in. That Batman, as the subtitles refer to him as, or the man in bat armor, I do think we'll be seeing more of him. I think he might be the anchor that keeps the show going the way it's supposed to go without totally derailing itself in goofiness. You need a serious character, otherwise, what are you going to do? While we wait for Kenny to come back, I'm just going to jam a little bit while I talk. So, the full bottle thing, I think, is going to be interesting, because plugging another channel here that I really don't have any business plugging, but I just like him. MGO316, aka the Freakin' Geek, recently got a hold of a build driver and 2 full bottles. Well, actually, a couple different full bottles. And the way they get the shaking thing going on is the liquid in the bottle, is actually sort of just a plastic bushing that slides up and down as you shake it. And that's what makes that clicking noise you hear when Build shakes him. I can't remember his character's name right now. I'm sure I will memorize it later. So it is actually a pretty good thought, because that means when you turn the bottle upside down, the liquid slides to where the top would be.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey, I was just going over how the toys work.
Oh, cool. Which toy are we on now?
We are on the full bottles and build driver. We are on the full bottles and build driver.
Oh, okay. What about it?
I was just explaining to them how the full bottles work, as far as the toy goes. I mentioned to them that the liquid... Huh? No, you don't.
No.
It's just a little plastic tube, and inside that is there's a transparent plastic tube, and in that is a semi-transparent plastic bushing, which slides up and down when you shake the bottle, which makes that clicking noise. But it also represents the liquid in the bottle, so that when you turn the bottle upside down to put it in the driver, the liquid falls to the top, as liquid should. And how it works, it's not exactly like Double this time, where the electronics were contained within the gimmick so that they could just continue to make more of that gimmick, and it would work with the driver regardless. Because that's how that's how Double worked. That's how
Gaim?
That's how Gaim worked. Thank you. Double, Gaim, and X8 worked. There were electronic gimmicks, so everything that you needed to make it work was in the little toy. So they could continue to make more regardless. So you could never really tell what was coming out. But this one doesn't work like that. It uses a rail and pin system like Drive.
Yeah.
Which means that all of the audio for every single combination is contained within the belt.
Right.
Which means if you're clever, you can hack the belt, quote unquote, by pushing in the right combination of pins.
Cool. So make custom audio?
No. Essentially, it has the audio files allocated to a certain button depression code, like Braille.
Yeah.
You learn what that code is, and you just have to push those pins in on the belt to activate the sounds.
Ah, cool.
It's kind of cheaty, but it just means but for those who are really determined, they can figure out what every single combination is going to be.
Yeah, that's cool though. I give it a month before someone figures out all the combinations.
You know, I never really see anyone digging into it that much. They usually just wait for television.
But that could be a spoiler thing, affection, couldn't it?
It could be. I would have to know how many pins in each bottle slot can be pushed at once. Because that's a huge number of potential combinations.
Yeah.
As far as the belt itself goes, there is sort of it's almost a ratchet. You crank the handle, and it cranks a gear which has a ratcheting wheel connected to what looks like a rim from a spinning rim from a car.
Right.
How do I put it? It is very clearly a wheel. But I think it's almost supposed to be like a centrifuge.
Maybe.
To mix the liquids, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah.
Or well, not mix them, but bring out, like use centrifugal force to make them usable.
Like an icy machine?
Kind of like an icy machine.
That actually.
But the thing is with the icy machine is it continues to spin them to keep it liquid instead of becoming a solid block of ice. Whereas this is more like a more advanced version. Okay, you know how he shakes the bottles?
Yeah.
This would continue to do so more efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me 1 minute while I close my door.
Yeah.
And that's about as far as it goes. Okay. Never mind. That was a fruitless effort.
Is your door like literally right there?
Yeah, I have a small room.
Okay, in guitar length.
So the toys are going to be something to really analyze because I like the fact that they are essentially paint cans because you have to shake them, or aerosol cans anyway, with a mixing, and the clickety clackety that they're making is supposed to simulate the sound of the ball bearing that's in a paint can that mixes it.
Yeah. Now, what I really like in terms of the toys is the action figures, the ones you could take apart and mix.
The gimmick figure this year, yeah.
Yes. Those, I don't think I've seen those before. Any Kamen Rider figures have done that before, other than Drive, that had the tire arm change gimmick.
Gaim had a gimmick series as well.
Oh yeah, well,
it didn't
the
come
armor
apart.
the armor you could put over them, and then those had the hoodies you could put on.
Yep. Gun. Wizard had wizard action, please. There's really nothing you can do as far as a gimmick there because the armor doesn't disassemble or anything. You just have the forms.
Okay.
And I don't think. Well, Forze had a gimmick line.
What was the gimmick line?
When, you know how when he pushes a switch, one of his limbs changes?
Oh yeah, that's cool. You can
And
put
then,
like a...
And then O's had a gimmick change line where you could disassemble them and mix and match the body parts.
Oh, that's cool.
Double did not have a gimmick line as far as I'm aware. They had, well, the SH figure art where you could rip the figure in half and mix and match them. But that's an SH figure art.
Yeah, that's an adult collector's figure. That doesn't count.
So Build this year is going to be very interesting. I really want to know how they're going to be able to articulate the head while still maintaining that splittable.
Ooh, did Kiva or Deno have any gimmicks, toy line wise?
I don't think they had any gimmicky figures.
That didn't come until the Neo Heisei, did it?
I don't think it did.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't think of any.
Oh yeah, because Neo Heisei is when they started introducing gimmicks, I guess. Right?
Well, they've all had gimmicks.
Just not
but
multifunctional, complex gimmicks.
Yeah, it's like, well, they could have done something like that with Deno, but it would have been really complicated. Kids would have been frustrated and ended up breaking the toy.
What's your idea?
Okay, how long have you been watching Kamen Rider Deno since I suggested it to you?
Episode 6 now, because just for the simple reason of the website acts up a lot.
Okay, so
I've watched the Deno movies though, and I love them.
Do you notice how when he transforms, his armor slides along the rails on his base suit like a train?
Yes.
Now, obviously, the forms shift and change a little too they're a little too complex for a kid to really figure out. I mean, you could just snap the faceplate on, I guess, and then the armor actually transforms from one form to the next. So you might be able to pull it off. I think it would be a little too complex, way too many moving parts. Shit would break.
Yeah.
If you put that in the hands of like a kid or a young adult.
Yeah.
Especially a middle schooler who's going to be like tired from school. He's going to be beat from school. He's going to get home. He's going to see his Deno figure, and he's going to think, I kind of want him to be in freaking gun mode from sword mode, or gun form from sword form. All those moving parts, he's tired. He either doesn't hold it hard enough or holds it too hard. Something snaps.
Yep. And then he gets angry and goes all Momotoros on everyone in the house.
Yeah, well, I doubt that, but...
All right, what else can we say about?
Well, about Build itself, like I said, I'm interested to see how they're going to keep the joints moving smoothly while still having the entire body split in half the way it does.
Yeah.
I do understand, though, like how it's going to work.
Yes. Yes, sir.
What are you working on?
Just you talking about Kamen Rider.
Right, how long will we have on that?
I can go for a bit, and you can just keep talking.
No, okay. What I'm saying is the trash and the recycling need to be empty.
I can do that right now. Just come back. All right, I'll be right back.
Yep. So anyway, they're very clearly, they intend for you to have a left side and a right side for this body, because the way the two halves come together, there's one coming in from the front and one coming in from behind. You can't really reverse that on the figure. So obviously they're either going to have to manufacture doubles of the halves, or they are going to have to, like, like a left side version of Rabbit and a right side version of Rabbit, or, Tank, etc. I don't think they're going to go that far. I think they do intend for you to use it left and right. That's it. And that's just kind of how I predict the toy going. I imagine they're going to push that for the show, because Toei doesn't come up with the gimmicks, Bandai comes up with the gimmicks, and then Toei just kind of has to do it. As far as I think cosplayers are going to have an annoying time doing this too, because that's a lot of weird cuts in the armor that they're going to have to deal with. I don't know how because like Double was easy. It was the same shape of costume. All they had to do was essentially color it differently every time they molded it. But with Build, you've got these external features going down the armor, which means that either the suit itself has to be modular over the base, which I think is black, meaning they have to remove all these different pieces and then put new pieces on, or they have to mold an entirely new suit for every potential combination or every combination that's been written into the show. So I think the modular costume is the more likely option. I think that's how they set it up. Because, let's face it, Double had a hell of a time with its budget. It had a huge budget because, weirdly, Decades toys sold well. I don't know how. But you will notice that, and this is actually a point I've wanted to bring up for a while. When you watch Kamen Rider, you'll notice that every time the previous year's toys sold very well, the effects budget and the costume budget for the next year go up majorly. So that is probably the reason why Build is doing so well right now, is because Gashats are freaking, they're like hotcakes, man. You can't keep them in stock. I don't know what it is. I actually should get some now that the season's over. I should probably grab a few. At least the Legend Rider Gashats.
I'm sorry about that.
No problem. I was going over, the toy sales budget theory.
Okay. What is this? The toy sales budget theory?
Well, the short version of it is every time you since the start of the New Heisei era, when the previous year's Kamen Rider, the previous season, had really good toy sales, the budget for the next season goes up. Like Gashats sold really, really well for Xaid. And we're seeing very ambitious costume designs from Build.
Right.
So something tells me they had the budget for that from their toy sales.
That makes sense.
Granted, the reason like Kamen Riders look the way they do, it has nothing to do with Toei's creative control. Bandai designs the gimmick, and Toei just has to do it.
Oh, really?
Yep. Because you see, Toei may come up with the concept, and the writers may come up with something cool for it, but ultimately, it's Bandai who decides, okay, this is the gimmick we're going to have, this is how the suit's going to look, this is how the belt's going to work, and here are all the gadgets he gets to have.
Okay, that makes sense. So Bandai, the toy makers, are in charge of everything, and Toei just makes the story in the show, and the suits.
Pretty much.
They make the props based off the toy design.
Exactly.
Okay, is that why every time we get leaked concept art, it looks like a blurry toy, or it looks like one of those statue toys that you commonly see that aren't really posable, but they're made of like rubber?
Oh, the vinyl figures.
The vinyl figure, is that why every time we see a leaked picture of a rider suit, it's a vinyl figure or a blurry image of a vinyl?
That could be. I wouldn't dare to say either way.
It looks like a vinyl figure. Like the leaked picture of X8, it looks like the vinyl figure.
Definitely. It definitely looked like the vinyl figure.
I think you might be onto something here, and that's just more proof to possibly back you up.
It's kind of like with Ultraman. Most TokuCHATsu, they fund their show, or they at least try to break even through toy sales.
Who makes the Ultraman toys? Is it Bandai also?
That is also Bandai.
Oh wow, Bandai is in charge of all the Toku. Godzilla,
Bandai. So Bandai does Godzilla, Ultraman, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider,
Power Rangers.
They don't do Garo.
Of course they can't, because it's not a kid show.
It's not a kid show, and there's nothing toy-like about it.
Well, you could make like SH figures, but
well, SH Figure Arts is they tackle everything.
They might do SH Figure Arts for Garo. I think I've seen some.
Yeah, but those come out after the show is written and produced.
Yeah, that's true. By the way, did you hear Garo is getting a DVD release in the US? The TokuCHATsu Garo?
I believe you did tell me this, yes.
Now I can finally watch it legally. Because I'm waiting to watch that, because now that I know it's coming out, I'm going to wait to buy that on DVD. Instead of just watching on Kisasian. Like Kamen Rider the First, I bought off of Amazon because I knew I could watch it legally, so I watched it that way.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So let's talk a little bit more about Build. Yeah. I want to know, like, I get the feeling that just like with the lock seeds, we are gonna very slowly figure out exactly where this wall came from and its relation to the smash.
I agree. So far, all we see is the Batman.
Na 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 na.
The Batman has returned to Kamen Rider.
The Batman.
Remember when Batman was a Shocker agent?
Oh yeah.
Now he's the leader of an evil organization.
Well, we don't know if he's a leader or not yet. We definitely know that he is heavily involved.
You think I'm calling it the Batman is that guy who runs the corporation?
No, because he, like the guy who runs the corporation, had a friggin' conniption fit when the Smash were defeated. He was pissed off. He was in a rage, whereas the Batman at the end, standing on a wall, looked on with an analytical eye. He was taking in information. He was calm. He was bemused.
All right, maybe not then.
I believe.
I don't trust the guy in charge of the corporation.
You shouldn't. I don't think he's a good man.
If there's anything I learned from the Flash, it's if you're a rich scientist who acts like a good guy in some way, he's bad.
Yeah.
Especially if he's in a wheelchair. If he's in a wheelchair, then he killed your mother.
Anyway. But it's like, not all corporation heads in Kamen Rider are bad. Granted, Game Corp started out evil. It was continued to be evil into Dan Kuroto. Then it became good. But if you look at O's, the guy just wanted a big old birthday party every day.
This is Anka, right?
Not Ankh. Just the head of the corporation that made Birth. Kamen Rider Birth.
Yet.
Oh, you gotta watch O's.
Okay, I'll watch O's for you.
It is amazing.
I will. I've seen the internet porn meme off of it though.
Look, I'm just saying. It's goofy, but it's serious. It's emotional, but it's lighthearted.
You know the meme where he's on the computer? That's the meme I've seen of those, and the one where he's on the train. I assume there's a lot of comedy bits in this show. In O's. All right,
kind of, yeah.
O's. Why should I watch O's? Pitch it to me.
Okay. This story centers around a man who is essentially a homeless traveler. Now, I use this word endearingly. I don't use it to mean someone who has lost their home or is in a position where they can't find work. I use the word hobo as someone who has elected to give up materialistic life to travel the world.
Okay.
Because I was raised in a group of hippies and former hobos.
Okay.
I was raised on songs and stories from those people.
Okay.
So the main character is a hobo. All he needs is a little pocket change and a fresh pair of underwear for tomorrow.
Okay.
Because you should always change your underpants.
Is that what he says?
No, he just likes the feeling of fresh underwear.
Okay, I'm already interested in this.
He also uses it as a wallet and as a handkerchief and as a form of barter.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
He accidentally removes a seal from an ancient chest, which unleashes an army of monsters, or rather several monsters, known as greed, onto the world. One of the monsters is not complete. It's just a floating arm. And shows him how to fight. He takes the seal, the stone seal, and places it against his stomach, and it becomes the O's driver. He then hands him 3 coins, a red coin with the image of a hawk, a yellow coin with the image of a tiger, and a green coin with an image of a grasshopper. He says, place them in the slots on the belt and then use this disc. And when he does, he realizes that he can combine the powers of these animals and the metals to become Kamen Rider O's.
O's means 3 coins, right? Or the 3 O's?
O's, yeah. The plural for O is O's.
Okay. But it's spelled O-O-O-S, meaning the 3 medallions.
Actually, it's just spelled O-O-O.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like fives was 555.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, we got Entertainer's Warehouse showing up. What's up, dude? Thanks for showing up.
Hey, man. How are you doing, Entertainment Warehouse? Welcome to the dojo tonight. We are talking... He is getting me to watch this show called Kamen Rider Ooh.
O's.
O's. Okay, I call it Ooh a lot for some reason.
It's O's like fives. Think about it. Just remember it like that.
Well, continue telling me why I should watch this.
On top of that, he realizes that these greed have 9 metals each in their body. 3 for the animal that represents their head, 3 for the animal that represents their arms, and 3 for the animal that represents their legs. By defeating these creatures or doing serious harm to them, they bleed silver metals called cell metals, which are more or less like batteries.
Yeah. And
then, if you dig in deep enough, you can get to their vitals, these core metals, they're called. They're almost like crystal and a little gold border. They, like I said, bear the symbols of the animals that make up these greed's bodies. He finds that he can actually mix and match these 3 these 3 sections of his armor: head, arms, and legs. However, Ankh, the floating arm, warns him not to match 3 of the same color because it could kill him.
Uh-huh.
Ankh then realizes that in order to survive, he needs a host. He wanders into a hospital where a police officer who is in a coma is resting in bed. The arm attaches itself to the outside like a glove to his arm and possesses him, allowing him to get up and walk around.
Is that the guy that has the weird hairstyle that he's taking the bodies?
Ankh. That's Ankh. Okay. Yes, that's Ankh. Well, that's what he looks like when Ankh is possessing him, because Ankh is a bird greed.
Yeah.
Very flamboyant. He shows off. Turns out that this police officer is the brother of one of the girls who works at a cafe. Now, she also has freakishly superhuman strength. She can lift a boulder that's 20 times her size.
Thanks, Entertainment Warehouse, and yeah, it's fine.
So, obviously, always needs a base of operations to fight these greed because he's in it now. He can't.
Right.
Very few people can actually use these core metals because these core metals try to impose their own desires onto their user. The reason that the main character can use them is because or rather, they try to manipulate the desires of their user to serve the ends of the greed. However, the main character has no desires. He wants nothing.
Right.
He's been so emotionally wounded by an event in his past. Anything out of life anymore.
Oh.
He just got up one day, he saw that happen to him, next day said, fuck it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna pack my underwear and my pocket change and go walking.
Ah, so he's just a traveler now.
Yep. Or he was, but now he needs a base of operations. All he's got is pocket change. So as payment for using the back room of this cafe as his house, he works at the cafe.
Oh, okay, cool.
One thing leads to another. He unlocks more core metals. And he discovers that there is an organization also hunting these greed to collect their cell metals for research and development.
Okay, well, I should probably check this out once I'm done with Den-O then.
Absolutely. Actually, if you watch the Den-O movie, you notice, or some of the Den-O movies, you notice that Ankh and Momotaro's have a bit of an interaction.
I'm not that far in the Den-O movies yet. I've watched Yellow, I've watched... Don't finish watching. As a matter of fact, stop watching the Den-O movies until you watch both Den-O and O. Okay. I liked the Den-O movie with remember the one where they go back in time and that it was like this is after Ryutaro meets his grandson, right? And they went back in time, and this Empire guy wants to what is it? He wants to take the Denliner from them, and they did go through this prank him into thinking that he's using it when he's not.
Yeah,
that was hilarious. And then they ruse him, and then they steal the train back and leave. I mean, did that guy seriously think he had any advantage of getting that Denliner?
Because you can't control it unless you have the pass.
Exactly. He didn't. He ignorantly put the people off and thought he could do it on his own. And then the henchmen were like, "Ooh, this is the future!" Ah.
Yep.
I love Den-O's comedy.
Very Stooge-like.
It is, especially with the Imagines. The Imagines are my favorite part of Den-O.
Well, the Taros brothers, anyway.
The Taros brothers, yeah.
That's what they're referred to as, the Taros brothers. Because we have Momotaros, Urataros, Kintaros, and Ryutaros.
Yeah.
Who are friends of Ryotaro.
Yeah. Why does the blue Taro call Momotaro senpai?
Momotaro Senpai. Urataro's calls Momotaro's Senpai because Momotaro's was the first Imaging to be partnered with Deno.
Oh, okay. So he's like the master.
He's the senior.
Senior, yeah. Okay, I get it now.
So if Momotaro's is the senpai, then Urataro's is Momo's kohai.
Kohai. Okay, master, right?
No,
Kohai.
junior.
Junior? Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Senpai is a term for someone who has been there at a position longer than you have.
Oh, okay. But he's the only one that calls him senpai. No one else does.
Yeah. Well, that's because Urataro's knows how to push Momo's buttons.
Oh, okay. That's true. That is so true. I'm starting to piece things together. Yeah. There's something in Kamen Rider I can never piece together without your help. So, thank you.
Hey, I'm always here.
Is that what else can we talk about? You think that's it for tonight, or what? You want to end it with a song? The closing song? Is the closing song ready?
No, not yet. Actually, what I wanted to talk about a little bit, since we kind of ran out of Kamen Rider stuff to do, and we've been talking for about 45 minutes. For the last 15 to 15 minutes to a half hour, I thought we could talk about, just kind of drift off into comics really briefly.
All right.
So, let's talk about what we've read lately.
Okay. Let me get my book. I have it over here somewhere.
Okay, well, you grab that. I'm just gonna jam because I can't fill the dead air any other way. A YouTuber named The Golden Fighter. I believe he's appeared on some of our streams before.
Yes, he has. Is he on right now?
No, Entertainer's Warehouse was asking us if we know him.
Yeah, I know The Golden Fighter. I've collabed with him. He's a fan editor like I am. Related content. He's cool.
Okay, so you've been reading Godzilla. I see you do have to talk so that they can see you.
Yeah, this one is Godzilla Awakening. This is a prequel to the 2014 Godzilla movie about the first Muto encounter the first encounter with Muto and Godzilla in the start of Monarch, the group that ends up investigating kaiju affairs. And the other book I've been reading was Flash Rebirth, which is the original story. I think the first time it's revealed that Eobard Thawne killed Barry's mother.
No, it's been that's the Rebirth storyline.
This is the rehash of it, then. The rehash.
Well, Rebirth is the reboot of the entire DC universe.
Okay, well, this is the Rebirth version of that storyline. Excuse my ignorance. And yes, I am reading the Godzilla book. It's a prequel to the movie made by the creators who wrote Pacific Rim. They are the Pacific Rim comic book that tied into the movie. And The Flash Rebirth.
Lately, well, aside from reading HB Comics' Laser Man and Mystery Man, I've been catching up on a lot of the comics I bought at Comic-Con. I've been reading Kiss Psycho Circus.
What's that? Is that about the band Kiss?
Yes.
Awesome.
Well, see, Gene Simmons was big, is a very shrewd businessman. He knew how to market his band's image. That's why you have the Ultra action figures. That's why you have the Kiss Army. That's why you have the Psycho Circus comic book and all the other comics.
And the Kiss appearance in Fairly Odd Parents.
Possibly. That could have been him as well. But Kiss Psycho Circus really puts an interesting spin on the characters that that Paul, he's the one who has the star over his eye. That Paul came up with, because he came up with the images for all the the bandmates. You know, Gene was the demon. Paul was the Star Child. Pete was the Catman.
Yeah.
And Ace was the Spaceman or the Space Ace. Now the Catman has become, well, Singer took over Catman's position, and I can't remember who took over Ace's spot. For a while, Vinnie Vincent took over, but he didn't become the Spaceman. He was a new character. He took on the mantle of a new character that Paul came up with called the Ankh Warrior.
The Ankh Warrior, okay.
But the Ankh Warrior, as far as I know, is not in Psycho Circus.
Who do they fight? Are they like superheroes?
In the comics, they're like spirits. They are the Elder. They are the four who are one. Okay.
That's cool. Have you ever read this, Tron Betrayal?
I have not.
It is a prequel to Legacy. This was another. I like collecting prequel promotion comics that are tie-ins to movies. I have quite a few of them. But this one, it first gives you a brief synopsis of the first Tron movie, and then it goes into years later, after Kevin Flynn and Nance have a son named Sam Flynn, and after she's dead and stuff, it's about him forming the grid and creating Clue and all the stuff that is only briefly mentioned in Legacy that happens from creation of Clue up to the betrayal, the killing of the ISOs, and Kevin Flynn going into hiding.
Oh, Entertainer's Warehouse asks, how many books do you have? I guess he means movie tie-ins.
Okay, let's see. Betrayal, Godzilla. I had a few other at one point, but I don't know where they are. I had the Batman Begins book. I had the Planet of the Apes graphic novel prequel, the one that was tie into the 2001 movie. I don't know where that went though.
Oh, the one where they didn't redub over the audio, so it sounds like they're actually wearing gorilla masks when they speak.
I thought that was one with the CG, wasn't it? The CGI.
No, it was the 2001 movie that had like
Mark Wahlberg.
They were really good ape costumes. They were really good, but they sound muffled when they speak.
Oh, okay. I also have the whole a bunch of X-Men, Ultimate X-Men comics up on my bed. I had the first issue, first print. I have the Wolverine on the front.
Yep, I have so many comics. I've lost track ages ago.
Hold on a second. I have a Web of Spider-Man comic over here. Let me go get that real quick.
Okie doke.
The 90s. Web of Spider-Man issue. Here's my Web of Spider-Man comic. This is the one. What issue is this?
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
And in case, for those of you who are wondering, yes, I was playing the Spider-Man theme on my guitar.
Yep, this one came out in 19. Can't find those anymore. This is the 65-cent one. Oh, it's 1985. This is when this came out. 85.
Ah, yes, 85. That's a good. That was a good. That the 80s were a tricky year for comics.
Mm-hmm. It was back when they used newsprint. Though, I mean, this is newsprint.
Well, not year. It was a tricky decade for comics.
Mm-hmm. Remember when Watchmen first came out? Oh wait, no, we don't remember that.
No, but we do. We are aware of the history.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but do you remember? Do you remember hearing anything, or have you heard anything about the comic book burnings that took place around that time?
Wasn't it due to like the whole over-religious people saying that comic books were a danger to the child's soul or something? And that they were
exactly
like,
because the market. Exactly because the market was saturated with horror comics that kids could just get a hold of.
Oh, okay.
So they started burning comic books, and I happen to own a vault of horror comic book with what looks like singe marks around the edges.
So attempted burn, possibly.
I think it might be a survivor. I would have to get it appraised.
Okay.
Oh, hey.
Hey, Midnight Spectre.
What's up, Spectre?
Welcome to the chat. We were talking about Kamen Rider earlier. Comic books. Now, what would you say is your most prized comic book in your collection?
I've got a couple that are autographed that I could claim, but I would have to say the most prized one in my collection is The Death of Superman in its original black plastic bag.
You never opened it?
I never opened it, which unfortunately means that the comic inside is ruined.
Aw, how do you know it's ruined?
You see, they made the marketing ploy was that the Death of Superman would come in this black plastic bag with the bloody Superman symbol to protect the comic. What they didn't tell you was that the plastic that bag was made of was very slightly acidic.
Do you know that the inside is ruined, or are you guessing?
It's still sealed in that original bag. It's been fermenting long enough. Every single one has turned brown.
Oh, so you're just not going to open it?
Nah, because I like the look of the bag, and I like that it's not been opened. I will probably get an opened copy sooner or later.
Just go to Barnes & Noble and buy a
reprint. I probably should. Well, except there's no books like Barnes & Noble, whatever. There's no big chain bookstores like that in my area.
Have you read it yet? Have you read The Death of Superman?
I have read The Death of Superman.
Okay, good. That you know the story. Good.
I do know the story. I am very fully aware of the story. You cannot call yourself a Superman fan if you have not at least read that story once.
That is true. I've read it 3 times. It is that good.
Yeah, Superman was like the first superhero that I really kind of latched onto in my,
What got you into Superman? Was it the comics, the Christopher Reeves movie?
Okay, I think to start, I need to go over the history of what Superman represents.
Yes, definitely.
You see, Superman was created by 2 Jewish kids in the Bronx. And at that time, everyone was doing like adventure comics, like Safari Men and detectives, and no girls because girls are for sissies and the. But these 2 got the writer of Superman, the concept creator and the writer. When he created Superman, he had actually lost his father in a bank robbery shooting.
Ooh.
So he decided he wanted to make a father figure that couldn't be killed by bullets, who always knew the right thing to do and was always there for you. He's not supposed to be a hero you relate to. He's supposed to be your male role model.
Right.
And the reason I kind of got into it as well, when I was about 11 years old, what happened to my parents was the same thing that happened to 50% of all married couples in the United States. They got divorced. We moved from Vermont to Ohio, and I latched onto comic books and cartoons to kind of fill that gap.
Yeah.
And I latched onto Superman the hardest. because he kind of fulfilled the need for a male role model in my life. Because I was by 11 years old, that was like 10 years ago. That's like half of my life. That's at the point where I've gotten used to having an adult male as a regular part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to fill the hole somehow. And granted, it's not like my dad and I are on bad terms. It's not like my parents are on bad terms. It didn't work out.
Right.
So I started following superheroes, and Superman was my favorite.
Yeah.
Because he represented that dad who's like, he was never mad at you. He was he did, lecture you on what the right thing to do was, and he always could do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of a security blanket for me for a while.
Definitely. I mean, growing up, he was one of the reasons I aspired to be an Eagle Scout. 2013, I made it.
Yep. So it was definitely that made me latch on to Superman. And I remember it's like every chance I got, I was grabbing up Superman comics.
Yeah, definitely. My first experience with Superman was my uncle Richard showed me the Richard Donner film with Christopher Reeves in it, and I was extremely hooked after that. I watched that movie every day as a child from up until 2003, and then watched Justice League, Superman the animated series. Yeah, I've read the Superman comics. I've read Death of Superman 3 times. I've read a lot of Superman. I had this one where he had like this Tron-looking suit. I don't remember what version of Superman it was, but he had it was like a blue and white suit.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's Superman Blue, when he lost his conventional Kryptonian powers and became a being made up entirely of energy.
Oh, okay.
That suit was what was keeping him from dispersing into a cloud of nothing.
That makes sense. That was an interesting storyline. I liked it. This is a very unpopular opinion, but I was super excited for Superman Returns and loved it when it came out.
I could take it or leave it.
Yeah, I liked it. It was a big throwback to watching Christopher Reeve's Superman as a kid. To me, he captured the Reeves role very well. Brandon Routh.
Yeah. That's the thing, and that's what makes it kind of weird for me to get into conversation. Like, most of the conversations I have at Comic-Con are pretty standard. It's like, I like this character, I like that character. But then it gets into the conversation of who do you like more out of the big three.
Mm-hmm.
The big three being Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
Superman.
And I get weird looks for that. Because they don't inherently hate Superman, but most people usually either pick Batman, the powerless genius Sherlock, the greatest detective in the world who knows every single martial art ever, or Wonder Woman, who is supposed to be the symbol of feminine power.
Mm-hmm. What? Crap, my phone died. Oh well.
Midnight Spectre says the new DC movies are also weird. They're a little odd. I think Batman versus Superman did not need to be one movie. There was 3 movies worth of content there.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of Man of Steel?
I didn't watch it.
It's good. I mean, it's not Superman master greatness, but it's a good film to check out.
To be perfectly honest, and I probably should watch it regardless, but Nostalgia Critics review kind of threw me off wanting to watch it permanently.
Yeah. My complaint with Man of Steel, if you're gonna watch it, watch the remastered fan edit version by Agent 9. Don't watch the theatrical Zack Snyder official version. If I can figure out how to share it to you on Mega, I have it on my laptop. This version is pretty much, he muted all the Hans Zimmer music out because the soundtrack to Man of Steel sounds too much like Batman because it has a dark Hans Zimmer drum music attached to it.
Yeah, the reason I was thrown off of it is there's a lot of Messiah symbolism surrounding Superman, which I don't like because he's not supposed to be the Messiah. He's supposed to be Dad.
Right. But yeah, what I think ruined Man of Steel was the color, lighting, and the choice of music and some of the scenes that were put in there. Like this fan edit completely changed it by just adding brighter lighting, the John Williams music that we all know and love, and cutting out scenes that weren't needed. And it was a perfect movie, pretty much. I mean, it wasn't Christopher Reeve's perfect, but it was a good modern Superman movie. And this was done by a fan. If you want the movie, go to Agent 9. And this is not illegal because it was like he had to get approval to do this, from my understanding, and do like a big fair use warning in front of it and all that. But go to Agent 9 on Facebook and then DM him that you want a free copy of the Man of Steel remastered, and he'll DM you the Mega link. You'll have to make a free Mega account to get it. And it takes
I might do that.
It takes a while to download just because it's a big file, but it's worth it. I don't recommend it. Yeah. If you're going to watch Man of Steel, watch the fan edit version by Agent 9 called Man of Steel Remastered.
Yeah. This was my opinion. Or this was what I thought of as far as like the whole Marvel versus DC argument. First of all, when people ask me Marvel or DC, I say IDW.
IDW.
They do the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics, the Transformers comics, the G.I. Joe comics.
Oh, cool. Good choice. Those are good.
But if I absolutely have to pick DC or Marvel, I would say DC comics, Marvel movies.
Yes. What about DC animated movies?
Oh, Entertainer's Warehouse asks what the difference between a DC and a Marvel movie is. Well, they both try to emulate their comics or their style of comic writing. The thing is like Marvel works better because Marvel writes, relatable superheroes with lots of comedy, whereas DC writes heroes that you look up to with sparse comedy.
Right.
Unless you're reading Teen Titans.
Teen Titans Go, to be more specific, and that comedy is.
No, not Teen Titans Go. The Teen Titans comic book.
Oh, really? It is comedic based? Well, I guess it does have teens, so yeah.
It's supposed to be. The Teen Titans are the heroes you relate to.
Yeah.
That's them trying to cash in on the Peter Parker craze.
What is it? Do you think Superman will ever go back to being loved again? Popularly loved, or you think that was just that phase is dead?
Let me put it to you this way: whether it's this little paper thing that you fold up and put in your back pocket, and then take and climb up to your treehouse where you've got them stockpiled, or a little plastic thing shaped like a diamond that you tap with your finger that beams the whole story into your cerebral cortex, kids around the world are gonna want to know what's happening with Superman. Like, even if he's not popular,
right?
DC's main plot always involves all of its stories, and Superman is an integral part of that. Batman's an integral part of that, and so is Wonder Woman.
Right.
Those three are the pillars of DC, and they will always be their strong suits.
Good. Yeah, 'cause I sometimes worry what people complain. I think it's now one of those things that people just say they don't like it, but really they're just afraid to admit it. You know what I mean?
It's more like they say they don't like it because they don't want to seem like they don't want to jump on the bandwagon because it's a bandwagon. But the thing is, it's not a bandwagon anymore. Superman is there for the kids who need a role model.
Right.
So if you've got a role model in real life, you probably don't need Superman, and that's okay. That's good. But for those of you out there that don't have a role model, that's where Superman comes in. As a matter of fact, for a short while, I did have, like, even when I moved back to Vermont, and my dad was around, I still kind of looked to superheroes to fill that gap because I didn't really live with him, even though I hung out with him sometimes. It's more like an adult friends relationship.
Yeah.
It's a lot better now. Obviously, we've gotten a lot more comfortable with each other, but there was a short while where instead of Superman, Jew Wario filled that gap of the adult male in my life.
Definitely, he was great. Even though I got,
but he was not dad. He was like
that best.
He was the big
you always, or big brother you always look forward to coming to when you got home from school.
Yeah, like, and I'm a big brother, so I have to fill that role, and really didn't know what, so I didn't really have anything to go off of.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you can live above the ideals of Jew Wario to your younger brother.
I try to.
Awesome.
It gets difficult. Everyone who has a younger sibling will know that it does wear on your patience after a while.
It does. I have a younger sister. I know the feeling. But we get along very well.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess that's the purpose of superheroes. They are there to fill a gap in a person's life. That's why a lot of people. That's why the typical depiction of a nerd is this little weak, scared person who reads comic books, because comic books were written for that kind of person, to make them feel strong, to make them feel invincible, to make them feel like there was someone there looking out for them.
Definitely.
So pick up a comic book. Read, like, even if maybe find a new superhero that you've not read about yet.
Mm-hmm.
Try a new comic book publisher. Try Image Comics, by the way. They're the ones who print Kiss Psycho Circus.
Spawn, right? Also Spawn.
Yeah, they do Spawn.
Spawn's a good one. Read Spawn if you have not read it yet. It's definitely not a character to look up to, but it's a character to invest into the story of reading.
Absolutely. That story is more of a message that sheds light on very bad situations in the world right now.
Yes, very much so. There was something. There was something I was gonna say in terms of, speaking of, when we were talking about Superman. I just gotta remember what it was.
Backpedal a little bit.
Backpedal. Yeah, I lost it.
Well, I'm sure that when we do a Sunday night stream, because this is more of a Sunday night stream conversation anyway, tomorrow night, you'll probably think of it again. You can send me a message when you remember it on Amino, so that you have like a note you can look at.
Yeah. What do we want to talk about tomorrow night?
Well, obviously, our fans, for those of you watching, can actually suggest topics to us on Twitter. That's at @weekend_dojo, all lowercase. The most popular ones are entered into a poll normally, but we've not had a lot of viewers lately because it's just the two of us.
Right.
So we'll just pick one from that, the one that seems the easiest to work with. We'll shout you out, and that's what we'll do. If we don't get a subject, we'll continue this conversation on comic books, comic book history, and the different publishing companies we follow.
Definitely. Also, we can talk about artists like Jack Kirby.
Absolutely. Tim Sale.
Joel, how you pronounce his name? Critter Superman, Joel.
I don't know.
Shoebiker? Something like that.
Schumacher?
Huh?
Maybe Schumacher or Shoemaker?
Joel Schumacher, yeah.
Well.
All right. Well, until tomorrow night, see you.
Sorry, I was playing the dojo theme there.
Until tomorrow night, just remember to you're always welcome here at the dojo. Stay more phenomenal, everybody, and
I'll see you later, Weekend Warriors. And to send you off a little something. The week is it's the weekend. Kick off your shoes and welcome home. Time to cruise on back to the Weekend Dojo. for you, yeah. Forget your stress until Monday. Your job is done, it's time to play. Relax, take it from me. This is the place to be. Just take it slow. That was awful. At the weekend dojo. As the weeks been now you can relax with all of your friends, sitting around, talking about your favorite shows. On the weekend dojo, training weekend warriors dojo. Go slow, and you will be victorious. Just know there's something here for you if you got nothing else to do. Come on back to the dojo, to the dojo, to the dojo, to the dojo. Sitting through that was awful, and I apologize. Let's hit the old